Hi, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Sharon.
And welcome back to our shared shelf. Today, we have some librarian recommendations for library resources that can help students succeed in college. There are many tips and tricks that can help students succeed in school and higher ed. And we've picked out a few resources that highlight things that we thought about when we were students or would have been useful to us when we were students. So since the library is open right now and circulating books, we are drawing from our physical collection of print books as well as our digital collections that are available online. If you have any questions about visiting the library in person, we've put a link to our reopening guidelines at the bottom in the video description. And if you have questions about accessing any of these resources, you can always ask on our Ask a Librarian page, which is also linked below. So for my first recommendation, I want to start off by talking about a book called The New Science of Learning: How to Learn in Harmony with Your Brain, which is available as an ebook. I actually learned about this book from another librarian, Troy Swanson, who is way more into neuroscience and the neuroscience of learning than I usually am. But I like this book and I want to recommend it to students because it takes all the hard neuroscience research about learning and the brain, and it makes it really accessible. It breaks it down in a really understandable way. And it directly makes the connection between the neuroscience research and the kinds of decisions that college students make every day. For example, there's this whole chapter on how sleep affects learning, and it talks through the effects and consequences of sleep deprivation on learning and memory. I thought it was an eye-opener, and spoiler alert, all-nighters don't actually help you learn particularly well. So
What I really liked about this book is the chapter on learned helplessness. This should ring true for many people. You can remember a time when somebody may have discouraged you or told you you couldn't do something, and that voice just continues to stick in your head. But there's so many examples of students who succeed despite the odds. So this learned helplessness is just something we learn and can overcome as soon as we become aware of it, really. So my first recommendation is a video of the author, Jose Angel N., discussing a previous one-book selection from a few years ago. It's titled Illegal. The paper copy is available to check out from the library. I actually attended this presentation and was so inspired by Jose's story of resilience. It really stays with me. He was a former Moraine Valley student, and he shares how pivotal Moraine Valley was to him and the library specifically in completing college and becoming a published author. Against all odds, he made it. I feel like if he can do it, so can you.
Sharon, I think it's so important to hear stories about people who have similar experiences, have traveled similar paths, or come from even the same physical place. We've all been at Moraine, and it's so valuable to hear that this person was here and could do it, and so can you. That's so powerful. So my second recommendation is also a little bit academic. It's actually a book that some of the comm instructors use in their classes, but it's way more engaging than most textbooks, I promise. It's called They Say, I Say, and it's an amazing introduction to academic writing in college. I think that learning the conventions of academic writing can be a little bit like learning a new language, which can just be so overwhelming. And there are a lot of things that no one ever teaches you directly, or at least I found that was the case for me. No one ever told me really what you do with quotes in academic writing until I had an instructor tell me, stop dropping quotes. And I had no idea what a drop quote was. And I had to just go figure it out by myself. And I wish I'd had this book because there's a whole chapter on how you use quotes. So this is a great and engaging resource for new writers. Even if you did writing in high school, this could be useful for you. It's available as a print book and also as an e-audiobook from Hoopla. And I think the e-audiobook is surprisingly engaging for a book about writing. So there's that.
I can so relate to this book. As a previous teacher of the language arts in elementary and high school, so many students struggle to write formally. I found the templates in the book also very helpful. My last recommendation is titled How Girls Achieve, which talks about how we can and should create and build schools that illuminate and remove barriers for female students. The author follows the educational experience of three girls, one from South Africa, one from Ghana, and one from the United States. And their stories reveal how current educational institutions both succeed and fall short in supporting female students. I think this book is important for everyone to understand. In more than just educational settings, even, the odds are often against us. And especially in this context for people of color, the author makes the case for feminist schools, and these schools orient the girls towards a lifetime of achievement.
Sharon, I love this recommendation. I feel like the book makes such a good point about how making schools safe and productive spaces for girls to learn actually creates better spaces and learning environments for everyone. So it's like by making this better for young women, you can actually help generally. It's like it's taking universal design principles and applying it to gender and education, which is so cool.
So true. It's good for society as a whole. Okay, that's it for this episode. All of the resources discussed will be included right after this. See you next time.